Good afternoon, all the participants, and I welcome our eminent speakers for today's session, Dr. HP Kumar, who is former CMD NSIC and Director External Affairs with Power to SME. And I also welcome Dr. Viswas Panse, who is the Chief Mentor at NPA Consultants Private Limited. The topic of today's webinar is how to prevent MSMEs from turning into an MPA account. And we have our subject experts with us to throw light on the subject. And before I hand over the session formally to Dr. Kumar, let me take a few more minutes of your time to introduce you to the organizers of this power session, which is Power to SME and Wadhwani Foundation. Power to SME, it was established in year 2012 by our founder and CEO, Mr. R. Narayan. He came up with a very innovative business model which eliminated the intermediaries in the supply chain of raw materials from the big manufacturers and sourcing it to supplying it to the very small MSME manufacturer. And just an update, our CEO, Mr. R. Narayan, has also been elected as the president of FICCI CMSME, which is the MSME body of FICCI. And this is the entire Power to SME ecosystem. We have four major verticals. Our brand Power to SME deals in raw material procurement and sourcing. Finance Me, it is a platform where we facilitate loans through our financial partners to the SME players. Our brand SME Shops, it is the India's biggest B2B e-marketplace for MRO and industrial goods. And our NBFC BIS funds provides very innovative and contemporary raw material procurement and working capital solutions. These are the key product categories that Power to SME deals in: steel, polymer, paint, yarn, etc. The major industry verticals that we cater to include auto components, agricultural tools, engineering, and there are several others. Skip this. We are the invested company, some of the most reputed venture funds in the country, including Inventors, Kalari, Excel. They have invested in us. Nandan Nilekani is one of our strategic investors. We are also funded by World Bank International Finance Corporation. These are the few awards and accolades that we have won over time. This is our social media presence, and I now request Aparajita Prasad from Wadhwani Foundation to walk you through very quickly about the Wadhwani Foundation and their initiatives in India. Over to you, Aparajita.
So, after going through what all the Power to SME does, now as a co-sponsors, we would like to tell you what we at Wadhwani Foundation are doing and how we can assist you as well. So we, Wadhwani Foundation, we are 20-year-old into the philanthropic organization. And next slide. And we have been working closely towards generating a lot of employability across the globe in more than 20 countries at the moment. And in India, we have been working very closely with MSMEs for the kind of support that we can provide. We have a lot of association with business coaches, consultants, networks, and corporations, where we can come together and help you connect with all and any of your pain point areas. And we work closely with a pro bono based consulting model, which can later be converted into anything where you want to go ahead with the consulting network. And the other kind of segments and work that we help in our consulting includes different segments of customer products, supply chain, financial health, management health, cash flow, operational efficiency. So any of those segments where you feel that you need help, we are there to support you, provide you with the consulting service. Next slide. So that's it's a plug and go kind of a model where we would be sharing a link where you, if in case you are interested, you can register there, and we would reach out to you. Then we would try and understand what the your pain areas, and then we would fit you with the appropriate consultant who would walk you through with increasing your efficiency out there. So we have been working across more than 10,000 SMEs in a very high touch engagement model. And the kind of work we are doing is based in India and LATAM. That's the more so into the SME segment. And we are very happy to partner with channels like Power to SME, which is also working in similar kind of segment. So yes, it has been a great journey, and we look forward to supporting as many as possible.
Thank you, Prajita. And now I request Dr. H.P. Kumar to kindly take the session forward. Over to you, Dr. Kumar.
Thank you, Mr. Zumair. Thank you. In fact, we have a very interesting subject to discuss today. How to prevent MSMEs from turning into NPA accounts. It's a very, subject which is concerning almost all the borrowers in the country, whether they are micro, small, medium, large, any kind of borrowers, exporters, traders, small, medium, micro, or even informal, whosoever is dealing with the banks and non-banking finance companies, financial institutions, they are all affected by this NPA, provisions. NPA means that non-performing assets, as we call them. Now, we will discuss about the implications of non-performing assets and what does non-performing asset comprise of, how do they turn non-performing assets, the borrower accounts. But before that, let me give you some information about the background as to how this has traveled, in fact, over the years, over the last 20-25 years, since the non-performing assets norms were introduced. You see, earlier the banks used to classify their accounts, overdue accounts, based on the past dues criteria. So they would reckon as to which accounts and how many accounts, borrower accounts, are overdue since last 4 quarters, 3 quarters, 2 quarters. So the criteria of classifying as doubtful accounts was based on the past dues. So it started with 4 weeks of past dues, 4 months of past dues, 4 quarters, sorry. And then it went down to 3 quarters and then went down to 2 quarters. In late 90s, when the Basel Committee, which is the International Committee on Banking Supervision, it comprises of international banks. Basically, they formulated these guidelines. The Indian Central Bank, the Reserve Bank of India, also adopted them and implemented the Basel provisions, the recommendations for prudential norms. So NPA categorization and classification is out of those recommendations which RBI implemented. So they shifted from the earlier past dues criteria to overdue criteria. From earlier past due criteria of 2 quarters, now it got converted into, shifted to 90 days overdue. So any account, any overdue, any outstanding which became overdue for more than 90 days was classified as non-performing assets. The exact definition which RBI classifies non-performing assets, I can read out for you. It says a non-performing asset shall be a loan or an advance where, number 1, interest and or installment of principal remains overdue for a period of more than 90 days in respect of a term loan. And number 2, the account remains out of order for a period of more than 90 days in respect of an overdraft or cash credit account. So it remains out of order for a period of 90 days. And out of order is when you are not able to meet your, out of order has also been defined by Reserve Bank of India. It says an account should be treated as out of order if the outstanding balance remains continuously in excess of the sanction limit or drawing power in cases where the outstanding balance in the principal operating account is less than the sanction limit or drawing power. But there are no credits continuously for 90 days, or credits are not enough to cover the interest debited during the same period. These accounts should be treated as out of order. So out of order means that when you are not able to, rotate your outstanding or service your interest and not pay your, any dues which are, beyond drawing power or sanction limit. So you have drawn excess and it continues for 90 days. So the account becomes out of order. And after 90 days, it is classified as non-performing assets. So non-performing assets, while the classification was, suggested, and banks were, since 1999, I suppose, the banks were also, in fact, started implementing these provisions. But then there were other schemes by Reserve Bank of India for restructuring of the overdue accounts or irregular accounts or out of order accounts, where the banks could find possibilities of recovering money by restructuring. So the RBI and banks came out with one-time restructuring provisions and other ways of restructuring, rescheduling the overdue accounts or term loan accounts, so that the objective was that not only to give the relief to the borrowers, that they should regroup and recalibrate their financial operations, but also help the banks that they could reschedule the whole outstanding, and instead of transferring the whole thing to the overdues and making provisions against those overdues, unnecessarily affecting their balance sheets and profitability, it could help both by way of restructuring and rescheduling of those overdues. So it was happening, and both ways people were finding it quite comfortable. The borrowers also, in fact, if there is some problem with them, they would put up a rescheduling and restructuring proposal, and the banks would also consider that within the guidelines given by the Reserve Bank of India. And that way, a lot of borrower accounts were getting rescheduled and ultimately over a period of time regularized without affecting the balance sheets and profitability of the banks. But since 2012-13, the RBI became very, very strict, and they said they wanted to clean the balance sheets of the banks, because they suspected, the RBI suspected, that banks were hiding or maybe sitting on a huge pile of irregular non-performing assets. And that is how they directed the banks, RBI directed the banks, that they should come out with all disclosure of the non-performing assets and make provisions. And RBI withdrew the restructuring and rescheduling schemes also while doing this NPA, instructions. So it brought in a lot of hardships to the banks, because banks were not expecting it that they have to now declare all the irregular and overdue accounts, because what happens is it's a regular flow. Sometimes the account becomes irregular, overdue, but the borrowers are able to repay over a period of time by recovering the money and then paying it, because ultimately what happens is the borrowers are also running their businesses, and in businesses there is nothing like firm dates. Some of the businesses have their own recycle period. The process of converting raw material into cash takes more than 90 days. From the date that you buy raw material and then convert it into, put it in the working process and convert it into finished goods and packaging and then selling and then recovering your receivables and book debts, takes more than 90 days. Sometimes, some businesses have, by virtue of their nature of business, have, process cycle of more than 90 days for recovery and converting, their cash from cash to cash. They can only, regularize the operations or pay the interest out of their sales realization. if their cycle itself is more than 90 days, they can't repay the installments and interest immediately on completion of 90 days, because by that time they would not have recovered. So that is one reason that a lot of businesses which were trying to regularize, maybe little belated, maybe little late with maybe overdue interest and something, they got trapped. And then there were a lot of other accounts which had become irregular or maybe overdue for many other reasons. The reasons could be like like working capital diversion for capital assets, or maybe working capital erosion because of the losses, or maybe their operations were new and they were still trying to capture their ground of viability. It would take maybe another 1 year or 2 years to stabilize the operations. Maybe gradually the order book was building up. They were finding the markets, and it takes time. In fact, initially, maybe from 6 months to 3 years to stabilize and convert your business into a viable and profitable business. Maybe that there were so many businesses suffering from this kind of a situation, facing this situation. There could be many businesses where deliberate diversion could have taken place, the working capital diverted for personal, expenditure, or for building houses and marriages and meeting your personal liabilities, or diverting it from one business to another to create another business, or buying some other land, properties, fixed assets, or maybe, any other purposes, short term or long term. And that deliberate diversion also would have led to. So all these people came under the trap immediately, and we can see the result over the last 6-7 years. It started with maybe I was reading the figures of non-performing assets since 2013. 2013, when the RBI became very strict and advised the banks to disclose and provide all the non-performing assets. It was first year 2013, 1.9 lakh crore, 3.2% of total debt in the country. From 2013, 1.9 lakh crore, to 2014, it became 2.64 lakh crore, then 3.23 lakh crore, then 6.11 lakh crore, then 7.90 lakh crore. Then December 18, the last figure which I had was 9.03 lakh crore. In 19 and 2019, of course, it had crossed 10 lakh crore. And because of this COVID over the last 6 months, I think the amount would have further increased if this, classification continues to be applied. But I think the Reserve Bank of India and the courts have said that you cannot declare NPAs up to certain period. So I think the further accounts have not been added to the NPAs. So in any case, what I was trying to emphasize is that huge number of accounts, and in terms of percentage, it went up from 3.2% to 10.23%. And if you take individual banks like smaller banks, private sector banks, it went up it crossed even more than 20%. Now the implication is very severe, for this. First implication is that your account becomes NPA, means you become virtually touch me not account. The banks will not cooperate. The moment you are declared NPA, the banks are not going to rehabilitate or revive you or restructure you, and you virtually stand still at that stage unless you are able to bring back money from whatever sources and regularize the account. Rescheduling and restructuring is not there. It was withdrawn by the Reserve Bank of India. So you have no option but to either pay back or continue to suffer the onslaught of anybody, because you are now NPA. Even the commercial operations also would come to standstill, because neither the banks are dealing with you. You can't deal with the bank because you can't even operate. The moment you put the money, the bank is not going to operate your account or give you, pass your check. And you can't do it one-sided, that you keep paying the bank without the facility of recycling your funds. Otherwise, your business cannot run on this kind of a operation. So it hurts it hurt the borrowers to a very great extent. A lot of businesses got closed because of this, and with the passing of like NCLT, IBC code, in the banks started like taking all these NPA accounts to NCLT. If you are not able to repay, the accounts are taken to NCLT for resolution or for transfer or liquidation, because they have to recover the money in any case. And in that process also, I would not hesitate to say that the banks also suffered very heavily, because in some cases they could recover only 10%, 20%, in one case probably 6%, and on an average maybe 40-50% of their outstanding. So neither the banks, neither the borrowers benefited nor the banks benefited, because banks also had to suffer by taking these accounts to IBC under the NCLT, under the IBC norms to the NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal. Now the banks also suffered, in addition to these write-offs and cuts in their recoveries, they also suffered that their capital got eroded. Because the moment they convert to NPA, they have to make provisions, higher provisions, almost 100% provisions for the doubtful and loss assets, because NPAs are further classified into doubtful and loss, and there are various categories which RBI has suggested. Now, if you make higher provisions for these NPAs, while the factory may be running, the only thing is the account has become irregular. The factory is running, but you are classifying it as NPA and making provision and putting that account to a loss asset account. So banks also suffered very heavily because their capital base got eroded, and because of the erosion in their capital base, their requirement for maintaining the capital adequacy ratio, CAR, which is mandatorily required by Reserve Bank of India under again the Basel norms. Basel, as I mentioned in the earlier BCBS, Basel Committee for Banking Supervision. This is the international committee, and all banks, by and large, the whole world has adopted these norms. So they have also given a minimum requirement of capital adequacy requirement. So once the banks started suffering losses because of this provisioning, additional provisioning, their capital got eroded and they became below the capital adequacy requirement. Now, if they become below the capital adequacy requirement, they need to be recapitalized. So all this money has to be given again by the Government of India for all the nationalized banks, or for private sector banks, they have to raise the money from their own owners and shareholders, which in many cases may not be possible. And all these market capitalization of all these banks substantially got eroded. And very heavily they lost in terms of their market capitalization, in terms of their profitability, in terms of their viability, and everybody got scared. All these banks have become so cautious now. And in a rising economy like India, where we still have to create millions and millions of new businesses, they require funding, financing, credit support from the banks. Incremental credit support for financing and setting up new business enterprises, and also for helping the existing businesses to scale up their operations. That is how the employment opportunities would get created, looking at the unemployment situation in our country. So while the need is to go more and more lending, financing, creation of more businesses, scaling up of existing businesses, setting up of new startups, we have started various schemes like Startup India, Stand Up India, Mudra. All these objective is to create new business enterprises. But if the banks are not encouraged to lend, and they are fearful of losing their money because of the NPA requirements, their mental tendency would not be to go for all out for lending, although lending being there one of the major business, because deposits and lending is what the banking is all about. So if you are not lending, as per the latest information that I had, banks were keeping huge 8 to 9 lakh crore of their surplus funds with the Reserve Bank of India. under that reverse repo, interest provision. So they are getting 3.4 or 3.5% from RBI, which they are comfortable with, keeping 8-9 lakh crore with them instead of lending, because this money should have gone for lending. And especially when we know that there is a shortfall in lending in the country. As per one study which I was reading, there is a shortfall of 25 lakh crore lending credit support to the MSME sector alone in the country. MSME sector alone needs another 25 lakh crore, in fact, to survive and scale up, to really show their competence and capacity. So with all these issues, the banks also became very, very conservative and scared in further lending. Rather, they are more interested in saving their resources instead of lending. So the whole scenario became very conservative as far as fresh flow of credit to the entire business community and particularly the MSME sector is concerned. So this is the scenario with regard to the implementation of current NPA norms, non-performing asset norms. So what is the way forward? We will discuss that, I think, in the coming discussion. But let me not take more time. We have another expert with us who has been only dealing with non-performing assets for a long time and is a financial expert, having worked with various institutions, with IDBI and other financial institutions. He is a financial wizard. So Mr. Vishwas Panse, Dr. Vishwas Panse, and he is the, in fact, I would say the real doctor with regard to dealing with the problem of non-performing assets. So he will be able to tell us as to what is the ailment and how do we rectify this? What is the way forward to make the banking sector, the borrowers and the whole economy healthy? So over to you, Dr. Panse.
Thank you, sir. First of all, Dr. Kumar has explained the entire scenario of NPA. The NPA as a concept, NPA as a banking requirement, and what are the basic norms and the systems which are prevailing at present in the country. One thing which I would like to tell on the platform of this Power to MSME is that in the whole mechanism, whether it is the legal system, whether it is the banking system, law-making mechanism, I personally feel that a fair deal has not been done with the MSMEs. Everything has been thought from the banker's point of view, and very rarely it has been thought from the MSME's point of view. My basic understanding of any business is that for any business, there are only two purposes. Purpose one is to get the customer, and purpose two is to retain the customer. As far as banking are concerned, the bankers are working for their bosses and very less for their customers. Nevertheless, we are in a particular system. We have to follow that system. Till the system makes changes, with their experiences, they will learn a lot of things, and the banking scenario will also change slowly, which will help the MSMEs to come forward. This is what I hope. But today my issue or the topic given to me is that how to prevent NPAs. When we say that we have to prevent the NPAs, now there are two basic things which I would like to tell. One is that there are certain steps which are to be taken before availing the funding, and certain steps after availing the funding. If the project is ill-conceived or ill-financed or inadequately financed, it is bound to happen that it will become NPA sooner or later. So one of the major reasons in many of these cases is that it is the ill-conceived project, the ill-conceived financial planning. That also includes perhaps the wrong assessment by the banks also. Now the starting point is that the assessment of capital requirement before you start a project. Now while assessing the capital requirement, many of the MSMEs, they think that I need only 100 rupees, so why should I work for 110 rupees? Why should I take 10 rupees extra loan from the bank? So they try to work out their project cost in a very conservative manner. And there is no provision for contingencies which may arise in the process of implementation of the project. Now, if that is not done, and once you have got the funds from the banks or if the amount has been sanctioned to you once, again, if you need a smaller amount or any additional amount, there is a long process, or bank takes its own sweet time to give the additional money or may not give the additional money. And in the process, your project suffers. Now, if the project does not start generating the money, it is bound to happen that you are going to become an NPA. Many times it has happened that before the project has started, the account has become NPA. Sometimes it is also the wrong selection of the project. That also leads you to the NPA conditions. Wrong selection means without studying the proper market condition, without forecasting the market requirement. If you are undertaken any project and that project does not pick up as per your calculation, the project is likely to become an NPA. So before you select a project, you should be very, very careful. You should take all the precautions, take professional guidance as and when required. Many times it has also happened that the project is right, funding requirement is right, but even then the project is not properly implemented because of the wrong selection of the vendors. For example, you have to build a building for the implementation of your project. Now the person to whom you are given a contract, you have assessed a certain time and there is a delay on his part because he is not competent, he has not taken all the precautions to implement it on time. So if he does not implement on time, there is obviously a time overrun, and when there is a time overrun, there is a possibility that you are going to turn into NPA. To prevent all those things, you have to again have a meticulous planning about your project and the time schedules. If your time schedule also, not only the implementation of the project in the physical form, but there are so many licensing formalities, such as your electricity supply systems. You may need certain special license for procurement. And if you do not assess the time requirement to get those kind of license, perhaps the entire project is ready, but for example, electricity supply is not there. So again, the project is delayed. So automatically you are going through time overrun, and every time overrun is leading to have a cost overrun, and the cost overrun will create a problem for your financial requirement. You will not be able to pay the bank on time. You will not be able to generate the money on time, and that will lead you to become an NPA. There is another aspect to entire mechanism of banking is that our banks are funding us not on need base. They are funding us on the basis of our collateral availabilities. Now in the process, you are not having a need-based funding, you are having a collateral-based funding, and the assessment of the project, the evaluation of the project is not unbiased. It is biased towards the bank. But banks are forgetting that if they inadequately fund, the projects are likely to become an NPA very soon. Now, these are the factors which are before availing the funding. Now, after availing funding also, you have to take certain precautions to avoid NPAs. Many times you take TODs. Now, we forget that TOD, you feel that now next time again I will renew it. And the manager changes, your TOD does not get renewed, and you fail in the trap of NPA. So you have to avoid, if you are taking TOD, be careful that you are making timely repayment to the bank. Similarly, the LCs. You open the LCs, but many times you forget to have an adequate provision to liquidate the LC as on due date. So the devolvement of LCs also makes you face the NPA situation in future. Many times, we are also not submitting our timely statements, data statement or stock statement. Now, if you do not submit your data statement and stock statement on time, your DP is not arrived at. When your DP is not arrived at, bank will consider that you are not making the payment, account is not operational, and it is likely to also create an NPA situation. Another aspect is the financial discipline. Many times we are using short-term capital to long-term purpose or long-term capital to short-term purpose. And then there is a deviation in the financial discipline, or there is a financial stress. If you are using long-term money for short-term purpose, you will find financial stress for long-term requirements. And if you are use that money for the short-term purpose, you will find it to remove from the short-term purposes and use for the long-term purposes. So ultimately, that financial stress will put you again back into NPA conditions. Many times, advertently or inadvertently, there is a diversion of funds. We think that for the time being, I have got some surplus funds, so let me use here, so perhaps I will get more money. In a particular phase, many companies have invested money in real estate, hoping that real estate market will go up and they will make huge profit. But that did not happen. And they fall flat on their face, and they ultimately went into NPAs and faced a lot of problems. We are in business. It is bound to happen that some of our judgment may not be correct. But when we make any judgment, we have to calculate the risk and also have to provide for the contingencies if our judgment fails. If that contingency provision is not there, and if you have taken some blind risk, you are bound to get into the financial trap and you are bound to get into NPAs very soon. Another issue is that vendor mismanagement. We are in MSME or we are in production system. You need lot of supplies, lot of components are there. And if you have taken an order and if your vendors are not able to supply you on time, it is bound to happen that your orders will not be executed on time, your money cycle will get affected, and that will also lead you to an NPA. So you have to take very calculated risk while selecting the vendors, or you have to do their evaluation properly and also have to have alternative vendors as and when it is required. Now, apart from that, there are so many external factors which are not in your control, like government policies. Now, take the present COVID condition. Now, all these things are going to lead you to an NPA condition, to an NPA problem. What I have discussed with you right now are the major basic issues, which some of them are very much controllable, and if they are controllable, let us be very cautious, have a precautionary measures, have contingency provisions, and try to avoid those kind of situations where you will be landing into NPA situations. However, if somebody says that you will never get into NPA, is the wrong thing. Like every human being is likely to become sick. Every business is likely to become sick. Nobody can have an immunity that they will never become sick. But unfortunately, our entire scenario of looking at NPA is absolutely one-sided. We believe that when the account becomes NPA, presently, we have to, well, banks are only after the recoveries, and the recovery measures are coercive measures. Let me tell you, if you have worked with the bank for last 10 years, 15 years, you have paid regularly to the bank for 10 or 15 years, and after 10 years or 15 years, if you are facing a problem, do you deserve a support or do you deserve to be killed? I think you deserve the support which is not available in the present banking system. So, but we have to live in this system. So what to do? My advice to you people is that don't get panic under that condition also. People like us are there to support you. The mantra to deal with NPA condition, Mr. Kumar may not agree with me, but the first step which you have to do is that stop paying bank. Make your long-term plan, make your long-term objectives very clear, and work it in such a manner that after some time you will have sufficient business strength to repay the bank. Today you are begging and borrowing and making the payment to the bank. Doing this, what you are doing is, you are postponing your NPA condition. आज का मरण कल, कल का मरण परसों, इतना ही आप कर रहे हैं. But ultimately, you are going to get into NPA condition and maybe more faster, and also you will kill your business. Please keep it in mind. Your business is the only solution to all your economic problems, including your NPA. So you have to think from the business point of view, not from the banker's point of view. As an MSME, my advice to you is that don't look at the business from the banker's point of view, look at the bank from the business point of view. If you do the business, you will regain the strength, you will not only repay the old loans, but you will also service the bank for another 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Panse. I think very strong words. But then in the condition that the business is suffering, while, the reasons that you explained are very well articulated, one-sided view is really very much appreciated, because banks are looking at only from their point of view, not from the point of view of businesses, sustainability of businesses, economic growth, employment. But then, there are other ways, in fact, to set right the situation. And that is what I mentioned in the beginning, that we will come back to these suggestions as to what do we do in the given situation where not only the borrowers are suffering, the economy is suffering, the employment is suffering, and even the banks have been suffering. The banks have also lost a lot of money. Their capital got eroded. Even the government of India had to, shell out a huge money in the form of recapitalization. Ultimately, that money comes from the people's pockets, you see, by way of taxes. So when everybody is suffering, the banks are also suffering, borrowers also suffering, government also suffering, public also suffering. Then why not to rectify this? Then what kind of a provision that we have, which has made everybody suffer? So there must be some reason some way out, in fact, to wriggle out of this situation. I mean, it is not that we continue to suffer, all of us, and we say that this provision is okay. So I would like to ask you, Mr. Panse, as to, maybe the people may not be, expected that they should stop paying, because that also may not be the answer. But then what could be the reason, what could be the other ways? Like, for example, restructuring, rescheduling, where you can see the, future potential of the business. If the business is viable, is growing, and the intention of the promoters is good, their past performance has been good, why not give him time? Instead of, taking him to IBC under the, NCLT and closing the business. Your views on that?
Yes, sir. I fully appreciate what you said. Sir, my views on this are very simple. A strong client will make my business strong. MSMEs are not only providing bread, butter, but also jam to the banks. MSMEs are the people who are not bargaining on their interest rates. If you go to the big corporates, banks have to bargain on the interest rate. You are getting good money from MSMEs. So, if the MSMEs are strong, banks will also become strong. Another thing which you have said, that unemployment and the coercive measures of recovering money, I think instead of that, we have to look at in a very constructive manner. Revival, recovery through revival should be the mantra.
Yes, yes. That is what I was suggesting, in fact.
Should be the mantra. Recovery through revival should be the mantra. And when you do the revival, one thing which we are forgetting is that under our present economic system, when we need capital, we look at only bank is the only solution to look at the capital. I don't agree with this. If you see what is the capital, if you go into the fundamentals of economics, the capital is nothing but discounting of future profit. Whether it is own capital or it is a borrowed capital. So what you should have is a proper business deal, a proper business mechanism, a profitable venture. And if that profitable venture is there, it is possible to raise funds, not only from the banks, but from other sources also. I have on many platforms, I have discussed about the alternate ways of raising funds. The alternate ways of raising funds has to be properly adopted. The promoters have to be properly educated how to do that. And not only that, they should also learn that the essence of business is the creation of value addition. The business does not mean that you have to borrow money from the bank and keep on running the business without the value addition. If there is no value addition, your business is bound to get into loss. And if your business is going into the loss, it is better to close at an earlier stage so that you can recover better money. Your machines are in a proper condition, you can fetch better money when you sell it. But if you go on dragging it for 2 years or 3 years, the business is closed, you will converting all your productive assets into scrap values. And when you convert it into a scrap value, it is a loss to the nation, because the same production setup you want to set up, you need again additional more capital than earlier one. In the process, you are also losing GDP, you are also losing employment. So this is even exchequers are also at the loss. So when you look at NPA, my strong suggestion is that you have to see that the business has to first survive, and if business survives, bank will automatically get their money, bank will get automatically their recovery. This is what my presentation is, sir.
Yes, yes. No, I think very well said. In fact, regularization through revival, that is the mantra. Even I also agree that in case you feel that the business is viable, And any bank can understand that, looking at the business, because bank has financed that business. Bank knows whether the business is doing well in the past, what has been the past performance, and what is the future, because you already financed that. You know the nitty-gritties of that business. And if you are sure or reasonably sure in consultation with the promoters that the business is viable, the only thing is it is taking time in generating cash. As you rightly said, capital is the future cash flow, discounted future cash flow. So if there is a likely future cash flow that can be discounted and its value can be ascertained, and if you can regularize the account by way of rescheduling, by taking out that value, it means the business is viable. And the viable business should not be allowed to close, because we are not able to establish new businesses in the country. And why should we close even the existing businesses? Just because of 90 days, RBI guidelines, and BCBS, Banking Supervision Basel Committee has said that. Our country's conditions are different. We need to create more and more employment. We need to create more and more businesses. So we do little extra work, try to ascertain the viability and the promoter's background. And if the business is viable, try to revive that business. I fully agree, Mr. Panse, Dr. Panse. And recently the government has come out with that scheme also, subordinated debt scheme. The purpose of that 20,000 crore as part of the COVID package. The objective is same. Objective is that 20,000 crore will be given to, I think 1 lakh businesses which are stressed, which have been facing difficulty and trying to, revive. They are not NPAs, but then they are stressed basically, and they might get converted into NPAs or even NPA accounts also. I think NPAs are also covered in that. So the money will be given to the directors and promoters in their personal names for further investment in the businesses as capital. And that further investment in the form of capital will further be utilized for regularizing the accounts, for repaying the overdues. So in nutshell, what happens is the bank and the RBI and the government has recognized that there are businesses which are viable, whose promoters are good. The government and banks can give further lending to them, maybe in the name, not in the name of business, but in the name of the promoters or the directors, so that they can bring in that money and regularize the account. What is this? This is basically revival. Nothing but revival. Revival in a different way. So any method of revival, whether it is by rescheduling or by inducting more money, or by providing reschedulement of installments, or by deferring the repayment, or by reducing the rate of interest. See, there could be many ways of rescheduling, revival, and rehabilitation. So any of them which is appropriate should be brought in, implemented. And there is another recommendation that we have made to the government from our chambers, that 90 days should be increased to 180 days, because even the business cycle of a large number of enterprises exceeds 90 days. So they can't churn cash from cash to cash in a period of 90 days. There is a huge delay in payment of bills by even the government organizations, even the government departments. I think at one point of time, the Honorable Minister himself mentioned that there is a 5 lakh crore worth of outstanding dues from the government organization. So if the money doesn't come in, bills are not paid in time in 90 days, how do you expect the MSMEs or business enterprises to regularize their account? And ultimately what happens is, if you so strictly apply these NPA norms, the business gets closed and becomes untouchable for future also. So who is losing? It's basically we who are losing. The country is losing. The employees are losing. The businesses are losing. The banks are losing. So why should we allow everybody to lose? So I think we come to the close of this discussion, very useful discussion, Dr. Panse. And it's a very burning subject, in fact, which is still not resolved. The things are still, shaping up. And hopefully that things will normalize in the time to come. And maybe a stable policy framework will be put in place so that everybody stands to, reasonably approach this problem. So we come to the close. In case there are any questions, Mr. Zumair and Sadamini.
Sir, I want to make one remark.
Yeah, please carry on.
Closing remark.
Yeah, please.
That those MSMEs who are suffering from NPAs, or they are likely to suffer from NPAs, my advice to them is that, yes, we are bound to have the legal systems and we have to work under that legal system. But within that legal system, you buy time, revive your business, and settle the bank in totality. This is what my advice to my.
So I think a lot of people would take that advice. So Zumair and Sodamini, if you have any questions, please let me know.
Sir, I can see that all the questions that we received during the registration and in the chat, they have already been answered during the discussion. So I don't think there is need for taking these questions as well.
Well, okay, then you can maybe you can close the whole thing, Zumair.
Fine. Thank all the participants for joining in, and I thank Dr. and Dr. Panse for taking out their time, valuable time, and share their knowledge and insights with us. And if do subscribe to our daily newsletter, SMA Khabar. The subscription link is available on the chat. And with these words, I wish you good evening. Thank you.
Zumair, you are not audible.
Hello.
Yes. So let us close. I think we come to the close of this session. Zumair is not audible right now. So thank you, Dr. Panse. I think we had a very useful discussion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very, very nice to see you.
Very thanks to you, sir. You have been very appreciative.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think you are really a gem in the financial industry. So I think people should take advantage of your expertise and knowledge. And
yes, it will be my pleasure.
So thank you very much. Thanks all the participants and thank you, Zumair. We come to the close and close this session. Thank you.